Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Gyle here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. I've got a 2v2v2 for you guys and gals today because I know how much you love them. Sent in to me by Brainfart, so thank you very much to him. Don't worry, he's not in it, so you can't discern anything about who wins from that statement. Quick message though before we begin, going out to all my new subscribers. First of all, thank you very much for joining us. Always nice to have new people on board. Secondly, if you like what you've seen and you don't really know what it is you're looking at, the game is Supreme Commander Forged Alliance. It's available on Steam for £10, 15 US dollars, or whatever the equivalent is in your local currency. And basically all you need to do once you've got the game installed, doesn't matter whether you've got the tangible disc edition or the digital Steam edition, all you need to do is download the Forged Alliance Forever multiplayer client, and you can find that in the description below this video, a link to it anyway. And that's really important. Basically, it's not complicated. Once you have that installed, it will work out which edition you've got and make the correct adjustments. Seriously clever program, and that will allow you to play with the rest of us. It will allow you to play online with up to 800 people at peak times. We've got integrated mods built into the system. We've got replay vaults, we've got map vaults, we've got pretty much everything you can imagine. And also it's a continuously upgrading system. We've got community-based balancing where we all basically converse and decide how the game needs to evolve and vote on it. It's all very democratic and wonderbra. So moving on to today's game, it is going to take place on Crossfire Canal. So heading over there, let's check how this is going to go. It's called the top two slices up here, Team 1. The bottom left slices down here I'm going to call Team 2, and the bottom right slices over here I'm going to call Team 3. Why we're going anti-clockwise I don't know, but that's how it is. Deal with it. Team 1, taking a look at the characters involved. We've got XBX Lucky, he's going red UEF up here at the top left. And Team XBX, for those of you who don't know, is an all UK team. They're looking for more players, incidentally, so if you know how to play this game reasonably well and you're from the UK, do hit them up, because they'd definitely be interested, I think. And over here on the right, his teammate, also a member of XBX, we have Killjoy. And if you like your casts, he's a little bit more gristly around the edges, shall we say, a little bit more X-rated. So do check out his YouTube channel as well. And he's opening land and second air, looking to get some early air action on the go. Over here on the left-hand side, with a very similar build indeed, we have Vatuel for Team 2, or shall we say Dilly Dally, because that's actually what it is. I don't know why he changed his name. There's a lot of that going around. It makes life a nightmare for us casters, but if you hear me refer, I'm going to be referring to him as Dilly Dally, because I don't really think I can pronounce that very well. But he's going land first, second air, and his teammate down here at the bottom right is going to be Naval in breast cancer awareness Cybran. Down here at the bottom, he's opening land. Can't discern yet what he's going second, but they've tried to balance this game as best they can, because obviously Dilly Dally, you can see he's over 2,000, the only player on this game to be so, and Naval is barely a sniff at under 1,300. So they tried to put the best with the worst, or highest with the lowest. Actually, he's not the worst because he's far sight better than me with that rating, but anyway, you know what I mean. So they've tried to balance this game as best they can. Over here on the right hand side, also going Fim in the grey corner, we have GFY Deponi, and he's gone first air, but he's not building any aggressive units with it. He is still just building engineers, because of course we've all learned since the recent boot camp videos, the air factory for Seraphim will produce engineers currently faster than any other factory. It's strange as that may seem. Once upon a time it was the slowest, but they overbuffed it. And it's been talked about getting it into the balance patch, or one of the upcoming patches, to normalize everything. It came very close to getting enough votes in the little prosing for survey poll to do just that, but I don't think it quite reached it. But still, there's always next time. And finally, his partner over here on the far right, we've got Puddle Jumper. Nice reference there to Stargate Atlantis. He's going UEF in the blue corner. He's opening land first and second air. First few gunshots going off, and it's going to be over here, I think, on Killjoy's base, or at least sounded like it. I'm not actually seeing many anti-air in the place. I could have been wrong. And we're actually getting some more over this side as well. We've got a bomber out for Lucky. He's not going to get too much done though. He's got an interceptor from Dilly on him and probably gets shot out of the sky for no gain whatsoever. But we've also got another bomber over on the right hand side for Killjoy, just crossing the river now. and heading right over. There's a couple of engineers he could pick up from Puddle Jumper. Looks like he's beelining straight for the engineer working on the hydrocarbon. He could stall production here very nicely indeed. It looks like it's what he's going to do. Bombs away. The engineer's not been microed, so he picks that up with no trouble at all, but promptly gets zapped out of the sky by a defending interceptor, so no second pass for him. Actually quite a lot of inties in the air now for Dilly. He's looking to make a name for himself in the air, it would seem, but you can see why he's getting a drop on the go. He's got a couple of engineers on board and some Zoos, it looks like. See where that's intending to go. You can see the markers are down, and he's looking like he's going after the individual mass points. Probably going to drop a few Zoos off and maybe start building down here with the engineers. That would be my guess if I had to guess. Don't like to guess, but it seems like it's what he's going to do. So one Zooey on the ground. Whoa! Relief of the land, completely screwing with the geography, or the physics, I should say. Getting my school subjects mixed up there. The physics of that shell. And it's actually taking him a lot longer to get through that mass point than he would do if they were all hitting. But I haven't seen that before. That is peculiar, to say the least. And he's managed to take down one mass point, I believe. He sets a few off down the bottom. He's going to start trying to build a point defense. There is a defending strike here. It's working on the engineers. It's going to be a race to see whether he can get through the engineers quicker than the engineers can construct that. I think he might just do. We've got bombers in the air as well now for Dilly. Oh, just going to run out. And 50 hit points shy of completion. It's kind of annoying. And we've got T2 land over here for Puddle Jumper, so he's really gone going for 6 minutes. That's quite crazy. It's been up for a while as well because he's got at least a couple of T2 engineers in the area, so he produced T2 engineers to begin with, but now he's working on Riptides, and that will allow him to get good access over on to Killjoy's landmass. And this is what I like about Crossfire as a 2v2v2 format. Lots of other multiplayer kind of free-for-alls or 2v2v2s mean that certain people end up getting double-teamed, or there's a possibility for that happening. It's not so much with Crossfire. You're very much concerned about the adjacent enemy, so you get kind of these two will fight, then these two will fight, and these two will fight, rather than say all of this team double-teaming this guy really early on. So it makes for some pretty good sustained games. Bomber going down there for Dilly Dally. Quite a lot of interceptors in the sky now for Lucky. It's in direct proportion to the interceptors that have been queuing up down here for Dilly. Quite a few over here on the right. Little bit of an air fracas going on between Puddle Jumper and Killjoy. Killjoy seems to have the better deal in the air, just about. A few more interceptors in the area. And certainly the tactic for the moment for Puddle Jumper seems to be stack up the Riptides, get a decent amount, then he'll go over, I would imagine, cross that river and take him on. And look at the amount of T1 naval factories that Depony has got queued up. He's definitely going for mass low-order Navy spam. Always a good option, though, going Navy on a map like this with Seraphim. This cruiser's so invaluable. We've got Zooies over here as well, just taking advantage of their seaborne ability to fire over the top of this cliff. Really are go anywhere, destroy anything units at any tech. We've actually got some Jesters in play as well for Naval. Surprised he didn't get those out a little bit earlier. He probably had his attention elsewhere. He's got a couple of services on the ground as well, so he's kind of choked this area off from any potential Zooey invasion. There's a few queuing up here down from Depony, so that's probably a pretty good move. And Depony's also on an upgrade in the water just below. And still, the stack of Riptides is growing over here for Depony. Got to keep an eye on that early tech as it was. It's always nice to see. It'll probably be the first really aggressive maneuver we will see. Lots of engineers coming out down here at the bottom right, all working on that one mass point. He's actually changed the order on that, cut him in half, and got the rest to assist the commander. He's going to get some T2 power. I'd imagine that would be a shield gen going up there. There's an interceptor fight now happening just at the edge of the shoreline, and Naval Cow will get the worst deal in that. He heads off inland, but drags them over a burstmaster. The flak will take care of those. They'll have to bug out. Only a few escape with their lives, but once again the Zoos come in to deny this mass point. They'll lose a couple of them to that Cerberus fire, but that won't worry him at all. And we've got the Riptides now on the move at the top right hand side for Puddle Jumper. He's not going directly into the main island. He's hanging a left down here. It's quite a good option. There's some construction work going down here for Killjoy. He's working on mass Zui, it would seem, right down here at the corner, so he can deny that. If he can get the Riptides in there nice and quickly. Hasn't got anything down there that's going to be able to defend against those Riptides, at least not at the moment. What we're seeing is this early tac missiles coming in from Depony, going straight after this T2 mass point at the side. Ow, that's got to hurt. Certainly casualties you don't want to take. Where exactly is that coming from? We'll have to take a look in a little while. Never easy to see. But that's pretty early to have something like that. We're now seeing the Riptides engaging the front section of Killjoy's island. He's going to lose at least 2 factories, a couple of units of engineers, 4 or so P-Gens, a couple of Zuis in there for good measure, and some more heading across with the ACU. So Puddle Jumper really aggressively going after Killjoy, wants to get some kind of crippling blow in as early as possible. I do like that maneuver. At the very least, if he can force Killjoy off his island, then it's a whole bunch of extra mass that becomes available for Puddle Jumper. It's the one problem with a name like Puddle Jumper. You really want to try and shorten it somehow, and it's not the easiest thing to do. But we have got T2 on the field now for Killjoy. He's got an Ilshiver in play, but just the one. He needs a few more. He's actually working on T2 gunships, so he's got T2 air in play as well. That can help him very nicely with his Riptides. He needs to get a handle on these interceptors first, although suddenly this could be very difficult. He's got some Riptides up here working on his mass. He could come in with those and the commander at the same time. That could put him in a very sticky situation indeed. And although he's got at least one gunship out, he needs a couple more if he's going to create any kind of critical damage to slow up this attack. And Killjoy's on an upgrade as well. English failing me as so often it does. Puddle Jumper running headfirst into a hastily constructed T1 PD. Killjoy now losing build capacity, losing mass points, losing T1 P-Gens, and could very possibly soon potentially be losing his life as well. He's now going after that T2 P-Gen. Puddle Jumper moving in with his ACU. That point defense is down, and Killjoy's ACU is stranded in the middle of it. There's no support coming in from his teammate Kaflooey. Puddle Jumper down. Puddle Jumper's actually got a couple of gunships on him, and he's down into 4,000 hit points just above the red. But unless there's more support coming in from Lucky, I think they're going to go pop long before Jumper has any real problems. It's going to be a little bit close, down below 3,000 hit points. He must be thinking, oh my god, blow up already. There they go. Thank goodness for him. Auto give wasn't on, or he'd be dying as well. But these kind of games generally usually see auto give on. Got a little bit of a Zooey drop coming in from Dilly, and not one of them survives, taking too much flack from the air cleaner down here of Lucky. So I applaud the effort there, Dilly, but it just didn't work out how you wanted it to. Nice little bit of teamwork happening over the top of Dilly's base. Naval Cow's in there with his inties as well, helping to clear up Lucky's air units. Got a few gunships T2-wise coming in from Dilly as well. Going to go after the extremities of Lucky's base. This is a really difficult time for Lucky. He's got Dilly, who's the strongest player on the map in terms of rankings, and he's lost his teammate on the other side, so he must feel pretty isolated. We're getting some TAC missiles coming out, going the other way this time from Naval Cow. Very nice indeed. He stacked up 2 TAC missile launchers at the edge of his island. He's going after mass of Depony. Currently at not doing too badly, but he's losing T2 mass points left, right, and center. Ouch, that really hurts. We'll take a look at where he's at mass-wise. That's brought him down to around the 21 mass mark. Compare that to Naval Cow. What's he's on? He's up on 42. So that was a very nice little snipe indeed, and that will slow him down, especially since he's been focusing on Navy, and Navy is just that little bit more expensive than everything else, pound for pound. Taking out the T1 air factory as well, so huge success from these 2 TAC missile launchers, 8 significantly important kills between them. And now we've just got a steady stream of Riptides heading across the map from Puddle Jumper, obviously wanting to secure this edge, doesn't want Lucky coming in and reclaiming any of his former teammates' territory. Puddle Jumper, he's managed to get a T2 factory online nice and quick, so that's going to help him significantly. He's already got the first T2 engineer off the block. Actually, sorry, his second, because the other one's right here, building a T2 radar, give him some nice intel. Definitely needs to get that shield up as quickly as possible. He's got a little bit of assistance there from his teammate Depony in terms of interceptors, trying to keep his commander safe, but he's certainly had better days, that commander. He's looking rather poorly indeed, but quite a big air fight now happening over the top of Dilly's base. Seems to be reasonably even numbers. Perhaps Dilly's got slightly more interceptors. Lucky feels the same, and he bugs out before losing anything unnecessary, but he's got a lot of stingers in the air, and these invading Riptides coming in from Puddle Jumper are going to have a slightly difficult time causing any significant damage. He's got no counter for these gunships, not at the moment at least, but Lucky must really be feeling like the whole world's against him at the moment. He's got people coming from across the map to kill him. His neighbour is not helping him at all. He's got some long-range TAC missiles coming in from Dilly as well, and a huge horde of Zooies has taken to the sea from Dilly Dally, sort of making his way. Where are they off to exactly? Going straight into the centre, so perhaps it's an anti-navy kind of operation. Lucky standing quite close to the cliffs. Needs to be careful if there are TAC missiles flying around from Dilly. Needs to be very careful indeed. Some TAC missile defense here. I'm trying to work out where the TAC launcher was. I'm certain that was one of them. Certainly all TMD down there that I can see for the moment. The Riptides have kind of split up, maneuvering in different directions, trying to limit the effectiveness, I guess, of these gunships. But it really, thanks to the relief of the land, it's really not going to be too difficult for Lucky to defend against that. It's not going to be any kind of critical mass of units that's going to cause any real major issues. Actually got a Zooey drop going somewhere. It's flying over his teammate's base. Going into Depony, flying over Puddle Jumper's base. It's going right the way around the top of the map to drop right the way in the back here. The most convoluted way around the map that you could possibly imagine. But it kind of makes sense. Nothing up here to stop him on that recently liberated island. Getting around the back. Trouble is, there's quite a lot of air units for Lucky. He's got decent intel. He'll be able to spot that nice and easily. It's quite a big engagement going on now between Depony and those Zooies from Dilly crossing the map. Look like they're kind of heading for Puddle Jumper's territory. He's not going to have a great deal of success against all these frigates. Too easy to micro, but you have got Naval coming in with some frigates of his own. I think he's probably going to lose out to Depony on the count of the fact that these submarines are on the field as well, though they're not engaging, so he definitely could be getting a little bit more firepower on them than he is. Now they finally move into position and start going after those. And the Riptides from Puddle Jumper come in to join as well, so that's a successfully defended area region in the center of the map for Team 3. Very nicely done indeed. And this is where Seraphim really come into their own as far as I'm concerned, especially on a map like this. The Ethaluas, the T2 cruisers for Seraphim, as far as I'm concerned, they are the best cruiser in the game. I know lots of people disagree. They believe the UEF governor is superior, but I love them. They do the best damage against the air, which is when you've lost the sea option. Air is generally the only option to deal with the Navy, and they've got the best anti-air for that. And they've also got the most damage off the missiles, so what more could you want? Meanwhile, the drop comes in from Depony, but indeed we have decent intel coverage, and those Zooies aren't going to get much work done at all. The transports go pop from the first pass of the interceptors, and in come the Stingers. They will be able to mop up those Zooies. No problemo. Instant mass gift at the back of Lucky's base. He goes, thank you very much. And this is going to be a fight between Seraphim Cruiser and UEF TMD. We're going to see a bunch of buzz kills going up. We've got one in there, but Lucky's going to need an awful lot more if he's going to keep his base safe from Dilly Dally. He's got 2 T2 naval factories in place, spamming out cruisers, and quite a decent fight happening down here. We've got Puddle Jumper moving in with a whole bunch of Riptides. But he's going to be thwarted by these Renegades from Naval Cow. I don't think he's going to get too much done with them. There are a lot of them there, but there's no real danger of those Renegades getting taken down. It's just too much air defense in place from Dilly Dally, so nice teamwork there happening from Team 2. And Naval Cow's actually taking quite a lot of damage, doesn't want to get popped, needs to be really careful, down to 5,000 hit points and falling. He's taking an awful lot of fire. Oh my goodness me. Surprise ejection. He manages to give all of his stuff over to Dilly, but I don't think he's going to manage to get out of it. At the same time as well, Depony is very, very low. Oh my goodness me. 90 odd hit points from a pass from Dilly's. Will he be able to have enough left to get him? He's trying to get out of the water. Incredibly close. Can't drop a volley of torps on land, of course. Saved by the cliff face, gets onto shore. That is unreal. Is there anything that Dilly can do about it? Has he got any bombers? He got any T2 bombers or anything, or any gunships he could bring in? I just don't know. Meanwhile, of course, all of these interceptors and torpedo bombers from Dilly are hovering right across all of these T1 mobiles from Depony, and finally they're withdrawn. But that was very nearly 2 ejections right on top of each other. Can't believe how close he was to dying there. That's unreal. But still not seeing any T2 on the field for Depony in terms of naval tech. He certainly needs it if he's going to deal effectively with Dilly. It's a real issue now for Team 3. They might have ejected Killjoy, but Depony has been harassed quite heavily. He's been slowed up, especially by that early attack missile barrage. Needs to get teched up down there if he's going to be able to deal with this swarm. You might think, well, Dilly's still only on one island, hasn't been able to take back his partner's island. There's a lot of Riptides on there, but remember Dilly Dally's rating and take that into account. Those kinds of players can generally do much more with their stuff. Lucky busy using this time as a reprieve to get built back up. Still got 1, 2, 3, 4 mass points on his main island that he's been unsuccessful in grabbing back and defending. It's just far too easy every time a cruiser comes off the pad for Dilly over here. Every pass, he's just not able to defend them. You need a bunch of buzz kills at all of these locations. That is quite expensive. Transport getting shot down from Puddle Jumper. Very ill-advised route there, taking it right over the top of this cruiser. And you see now this is the problem. The lack of T2C for Team 3. Team 2, Dilly, can just place these cruisers strategically. So very useful on this map. Put a couple in all of these locations. He sent all of the destroyers down here. Is just going to be cleaning up all of these T1 factories. So much mass for Depony. Not really going to achieve much of anything now. Does get a few more frigates off the conveyor belt before those factories all die, but they will brook virtually no challenge to Dilly. Flies past them, taking them out on the way. Just going to finish off those factories once that's in place. A few Zuis out trying to counter them, but it's too easy to micro once you're concentrating on them. And of course, they're not nearly as quick as the destroyers, who will just sail away, pop them on the other side. Meanwhile, Dilly has been very fortuitous over on this left-hand side. He's got a few gunships in play. That's allowed him to tidy up this island, get the Riptides off. There's a few more still kicking around. Actually, another airdrop coming in from Puddle Jumper. He's going to try and make a bit of a grab on this island. Maybe he's just trying to get some of the mass, doesn't expect to actually hold on to it. Quite a tough order holding on to it from here when your opponent is Dilly and he's right next to it. He's going to get the factory going first, so it looks like he's making a play of it. It's not just a reclaim mission. Potentially these destroyers from Dilly could have strayed a little too far away from friendly territory. Lots of torpedo bombers working on them. Team 3 just lacking both naval and air coverage at the moment. Lucky just pinned down now underneath a bubble. Looks like he's busy trying to counter with tac missiles of his own. There he goes. Way up into the air, of course. Three shots from the cruiser will deal with it. Very, very timely completion on that cruiser indeed. Now, naval forces from Dilley just kind of rallying in the middle of the map. Give them enough combined anti-air to deal with the rest of those torp bombers from Puddle Jumper. Still, that seems to be the plan though. And that is again, of course, this is why Seraphim Navy is so incredible. With such strong anti-air. It's going to be your weapon of choice when you've lost control in the sea. You're going to have to go to the air to try and deal with them. That makes life incredibly difficult. Now 3 cruisers worth of tac missiles coming in on Lucky's position. And a whole bunch of buzz kills get queued up. And extra shielding. So Lucky really pinned down here as we pass or come up to the 30-minute mark. I'm amazed though that there is actually something getting off the ground here for Puddle Jumper. Surely that can't continue. Dilley busy working on Puddle Jumper's main base for the moment. Knock that back up a notch as well to +2. But Depony just seems evicted at this point. And he's moved his commander over here on the far left. Unreal. He knows that he's got nothing to combat Dilley's navy. I'm going to try a comm drop behind yellow and get... What was he saying? He's actually got tac missile upgrade on the comm as well. And this is not something I would personally be doing. If Dilley sees this... It's going straight after the radar, so I understand what he's doing there, but all he needed with the stealth gen, it was only a T1. It was too far away for Omni anyway. I would not be alerting my opponent when I have my comm in such dangerous proximity to his base. I think I would want to get a snipe ready, queue up a whole bunch of tac missiles, and try and find his comm, but Dilley, unless he moves, is not going to succumb to anything like that. He is well protected right underneath horde of build capacity at one of his naval factories on the other side of the island. So the best the pony can hope for really is to try and cripple his economy a little bit. That's what he's going after. He's working on these T3 mass points. The pony asking Puddle Jumper to scout his comm. It's not going to help you, my friend. And the pony can't do much of anything. Look at the base. It's under attack. Heavy, heavy naval bombardment. He's trying to get as many buzz kills in play as he can. But, of course, all of that resource option is going on static TMD defense. He's not got anything building to deal with all of the Zooies that have just made landfall. He's not going to lose his commander from this until he changes onto this side, but he has got a couple of cruisers now working on that side. Dilley just single-handedly dismantling everybody in this game. Still over here on the left, the pony tac missiling where he can, trying to slow Dilley down. And we've got T3 across the board. All 3 teams suddenly possessing ASFs. And look at what's happened to Team 3. They were in such good shape earlier on. And in the space of about 8 minutes or so, it's all just gone to beep, if you know what I mean. Torpedo bombers coming in over the top of Puddle Jumpers. Last remaining T2 naval forces do a huge deal of damage. Actually, that destroyer has had some success. Dilley needs to deal with it. He's got a few destroyers of his own coming in to help. But look at the fire now going down on Lucky's main base. He's got a whole bunch of Percys. I don't know whether he wants to try some kind of Percival drop. And that must mean that Deponi's ACU has been spotted, surely. Surely that's been spotted. We've got another attempt at the snipe as well. I don't know if he actually knows that whether or not Dilly's comm is under the water and he's just going to try and take some more mass out or eco. Huge quantities of T2 fighter bombers taking out a little bit of build capacity. Really not having much effect at all. We've actually got strap bombers in play now as well for Dilly, and it looks to be going after Deponi's commander. Flies up very vertically over that cliff face, drops one away, and of course that Sam tanking it far too easily. That's one of the issues at the moment that's being discussed on the forums, is how strong T3 anti-air is and how unnecessary it is. There's going to be some work coming on that very soon, I feel, in the next couple of months. Adjusting the way they act when they fire and the way they tank air units. So many TAC missiles coming in now from Dilly. Buzzkills, though, managing to keep up for the moment. Lucky doing a very nice job of turtling. He doesn't have a great deal of options right now. His best bet would be to somehow get some kind of a drop. If you get a drop in with some Percivals into the main base, start taking out mass from Dilly, he could slow this all up. He needs to be dealt with, though, and Puddle Jumper effectively has lost his main base. There's a few units of build capacity kicking about on the mainland. A few engineers wandering around. Now Zooey's crossing the water to work on Puddle Jumper's last main haven. He did have a T2 naval factory that he managed to get up, but couldn't get any significant units out of it. That must have been where those destroyers came from. We saw harassing the cruisers from Dilly a little bit earlier. Seraphim naval bombardment. And now they can just plant themselves here, get a little bit closer and start work. At least I think they should be able to manage it. Yep, there they go. And that will be the end of this little base on the corner and potentially the end of Deponi's ACU. I don't see... He's got one air factory from which he could build a transport and try and get his comm out of there, but he's actually got one transport. That must have been the transport that took the comm away originally. He's still got that alive. Of course, he can't stray anywhere near close to those cruisers. That will get popped immediately. And Puddle Jumper has a few Zooeys in place, taking out huge quantities of engineers, build capacity. Oh, he's lucky not to lose all of these as well. But he has very little base left, and now that is going to be a big problem coming Lucky's way. Lots of Riptides taking to the sea, trying to deal with the cruisers. It's actually a very good option, of course. Cruisers, those cruisers certainly pretty much defenseless against those kind of units, and the build capacity is now going to be in real trouble. If Lucky had focused on Riptides a while ago, he could have got himself out of this situation, I think. Taken down all of these engineers. And Deponi forced to retreat, building T1 static anti-air as he goes. He's out of range from these cruisers now. Probably won't save him from the strap bomber. He's still pretty healthy in terms of HP though. But now the destroyers have returned and they will counter the Riptides very nicely indeed. That attack is over and he still hasn't been able to deal with the cruisers down here. He slowed up production. He hasn't been able to deal with it. Quite impressed at how quickly he's been able to spam up that T3 SAM. Nice bit of micro there, keeps his commander alive. Pony just wandering left and right. Get that in play, he might just stay alive a little bit longer. Oh, that's nearly there. Does take a shell full in the face that time, but completes the SAM. Imagine that will be him alive for a little longer, but it's not really any threat to Dilly, not at the moment. I do like how Dilly has just said flat out no to any kind of expansion. He doesn't need it. What that basically means is that he's been very effective at keeping the units he's got alive, and that's allowed him to build up that way. He's not out ecoing, or hasn't been out ecoing people. He may be doing quite well now since he's destroyed everyone else, but he's moved a bunch of the cruisers around to the right hand side. The problem is over on this side it's a lot weaker in terms of shielding. Lucky's done a nice job of spamming up a few buzz kills over on the right hand side. That's keeping up with this as best he can. There's a Continental or two out, so he's probably had the idea I've had with trying to get those Percivals in there. Still, Depony is alive over on this left hand side, just chilling in the mountains. But oh my goodness, finally over on the right hand side, missed it, but the puddle jumper got strap bombed. He puts out the well played in chat. Very nicely done indeed. Missed the snipe in a while, guys, so apologies for that. Depony just making the relief of the land work for him. But now Lucky's under very heavy attack and his shield's been broken, taking a huge amount of fire, and lots of strap bombers heading over to Pony. Going to slow this down. We're going to go to split screen. Oh, and Lucky goes up. So it's just the Pony left, and he's not going to be long after as well. Oh, down to 400 hit points. Very, very convincing, Dilly. Well played. And there we go. Apologies for missing Puddle Jumper's exit from the game, but it's bound to happen sooner or later on these kinds of things. And Kaflooey. And it's quite impressive. I mean, look, he just stuck to his island. He didn't expand to his old teammate Naval Cow's island. Just left it. He knew he had the tools that he needed. Had enough cruisers. He had quite a lot of cruisers as well. Can we see post-game how many he had? So he had 19 cruisers. No, he had more than that. Had 21 cruisers in play and just bombarded his opponents to death. Very, very impressive. Nicely done. Well played, Dilly. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. As always, there will be more to come tomorrow. In the meantime, stay well and stay safe. This is Gyle signing out.